Presented as a comic book movie and stylized as a Western, Logan is a culmination of ideas and several films that came before it. As the audience, we are experiencing a familiar story in a new way, without that story being a reboot or a remake. Imagine that. In a time where nearly every superhero movie serves as a bridge to the next installment, Logan is a film that benefits from its shared universe, but also separates itself from it. Much like the title character, Logan stands alone. It's the year 2029, and mutants are gone. Dead or on the brink of extinction, there hasn't been a mutant birth in over 25 years, and Logan attributes their dying out to being God's mistake rather than God's gift, a line that was loosely adapted from the Old Man Logan comic. One of Wolverine's signature powers is the ability to heal, but now his wounds are clearly visible both inside and out. The adamantium that was fused to his bones during the Weapon X program is poisoning him and slowly destroying his healing factor as he ages. The wear and tear of being the best is evident, and the introverted Logan has lost total faith in humanity and himself. He spends his days and nights as a limo chauffeur, returning home to his hideout on the US-Mexico border, where he and fellow mutant tracker Caliban, played by Stephen Merchant, take care of an ailing Professor X, played by, you know who he's played by.
This is Patrick Stewart. How are you liking the program so far?
The professor is suffering from a neurodegenerative disease, which causes him to lose all control over his telepathic powers, sometimes to devastating effects. Both Logan and Professor X have become shells of their former selves. Logan and Caliban are forced to medicate Professor X, which suppresses his seizures and his telepathic powers, leaving him in a confused and psychotic mental state. "You're waiting for me to die," Professor X shouts to Logan. But in truth, Logan is the one who lacks the will to live. One day while on the job, Logan is approached by a nurse named Gabriella, who works for the biotechnology corporation Transigen. She offers him $50,000 to escort her and her daughter Laura across the US-Canadian border. Of course, we know from the trailers and the character history that Laura is in fact X-23, an experimental mutant with the same mutant powers as Wolverine. She was created by Transigen, who are now trying to eliminate Laura and the other mutants that were bred in the X-23 program. Director James Mangold has cited several films, including Shane, The Cowboys, Paper Moon, The Gauntlet, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Wrestler, as the visual reference points for Logan. The Western influences are obvious, and so are the comic book nods, but the one advantage that Logan has on its Western predecessors is 17 years of character development. Since the year 2000, Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine, and through all his ups and downs, the good times and the bad, audiences have grown to love the character and the actor who portrays him. The thought of another actor playing Wolverine is almost unimaginable to fans, unless that actor is Tom Hardy. Make it happen. Originally, the movie was planned as an adaptation of the Old Man Logan comic book, but film rights made that adaptation impossible. There are no spider buggies or hillbilly Hulk children, but the influences are there, and part of me really wished that Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye could come along for the ride. But I think it was a wise choice to include Professor X in that role, a character who has served as a mentor and really a father figure to Wolverine throughout the 17 years. It's a familiar face for the audience, and it's also a familiar dynamic between the characters, family, something that the X-Men movies have always been about. This is the Wolverine movie that Hugh Jackman has always deserved, and really the movie that we as fans have always deserved. X-Men Origins Wolverine was so bad that it was wiped from the continuity. The Wolverine is a decent film that would have benefited from an R rating, but Logan is not only the best of the trilogy, it's the best superhero film since The Dark Knight, and I'm sure that debate is going to be happening over the next couple of years. We're going to get so tired of it. Now, playing a character like Wolverine isn't as easy as throwing on the costume and letting your stunt double fight the bad guys. There is meat to this character, and Logan in particular offers Hugh Jackman his most demanding role yet, both physically and emotionally. 17 years in, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine has never been more vulnerable. He is world-weary, having fought in every American war since the Civil War, fighting for and against his fellow mutants, losing friends and lovers, trying to piece together a life that has been inexplicably shattered dozens of times.
Logan, it's been almost 15 years, hasn't it? Living from day to day, moving from place to place, with no memory of who or what you are. Shut up.
The thought of losing another person that Logan cares about is almost too much to bear for a man who has lost everything. His reluctance to accept Laura as a fellow mutant is frustrating, but also understandable. Playing as a rookie amongst the legends, Dafne Keen is able to bring a maturity to her character X-23 without sacrificing the innocence and curiosity of being a child. She's strong enough to slice your head from your shoulders, but also childlike while on the road with her two new mentors, playing with the car door locks and pissing off Wolverine, or picking out these pair of shades. I mean, she's absolutely killing it. With Stranger Things first, and now Logan, it seems that Hollywood in 2016 and 17 has found a way to portray children in films. Let them be kids. That's what they are. They're kids.
Hello.
They shouldn't talk like adults.
You know,
The
you
only
got-
time they should act like they're grown-ups is when the story warrants it. And while Dafne Keen brings an adult-like charisma to her performance, she is still a kid who is trying to understand a world that she has never known. For the most part, the relationship between Wolverine and Laura is cold and disheartening. Professor X acts like sort of a mediator between the two characters, like he's always done. That's his greatest gift. He's the most powerful telepath in the world, but he's also great at helping people find themselves and helping them come together in acceptance of who they are. It is sad to see the state of Professor X in this movie, but he's still filled with that hope and optimism from the first movie. The professor views their mission as one last shot of redemption for himself and for Wolverine. Even the supporting characters make a lasting impact. Stephen Merchant as Caliban, Stephen fucking Merchant, the co-creator of The Office and The Ricky Gervais Show, which we may or may not have ripped off for this show. Boyd Holbrook from Narcos. Every actor seems to understand the magnitude of this film. It was like the final game for an aging superstar, Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine, and everyone brought their A game. It really helps a movie when the actors actually care about the story they are telling. I've read some criticisms about the film's villain, but once again, the central villain of the X-Men franchise has always been society. They start off as outcasts in the first X-Men movie, fighting for equality in a society that views them as subhuman and possible threats. Then they become heroes and icons, worshipped by mutants and non-mutants alike. Many people were apprehensive over the film's use of an actual comic book, but the comic book plays a very important role in the film's plot. It's not just them breaking the fourth wall like Deadpool. And now in the Logan movie, the X-Men have become myths. The X-Men are in constant battle over their role in society, and in Logan that battle has already been fought. The new challenge is their extinction and subsequent rebirth in the form of weapons created by the military. Also, there is an amazing twist that more than makes up for their lack of strong villains. And I thought Boyd Holbrook was terrific. Perhaps less knowledge of the X-Men movies may improve your viewing experience. I found myself trying to piece together the universe's continuity and determine where Logan takes place in the X-Men timeline, and it's just impossible. Hugh Jackman recently stated that this film takes place outside of the established X-Men timeline, whatever that is. I mean, having some knowledge of the previous films helps, but really anybody can come into this movie blind and have a fully satisfying experience. If you told someone there's never been an X-Men movie before this, they'd probably be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a standalone story, a contained story about a character who has obviously had a past life. There's something there, but this is the story we are witnessing now. The genius of the film is how personal the story is. It's an experience that the characters are sharing with the audience rather than showing. You can feel their pain, their happiness. The relationships feel real, especially between the three main characters. So overall, I would have to give Logan a 10 out of 10. For me, it's a film that doesn't miss a beat. It's one of the best films, in my opinion, that I've seen in years. And I think when the Oscars come around, if Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and this movie are not nominated, then it's never going to happen. Because I think this movie is better than any film that was nominated for 2016. I mean, what more can you ask for? Jesus Christ, Academy. Let us in your stupid little club.